Hey, welcome back to River Talk 2.0. Deacon's friend is with us again.
Yeah.
Carl Moody. He told some incredible stories about hitting a utility pole on a motorcycle at 90 miles an hour, didn't get a scratch. You've been shot. You've been cut. You've had all kinds of weird surgeries.
Hey, he's bad now. He can fight. That boy used to be able to fight. Not now, but he used to be pretty good. He's pretty good with a fist. But go ahead, tell me your cool story.
This religious, I've been going to a Bible study in Myrtle Beach now for about 13 years.
You go on Thursday mornings?
Yeah, well, to Rio's.
Yeah, I've heard about that one.
But that's not where it started.
Okay.
It started at the Dunes Club with 7 or 8 people, and then moved to Magnolia's up there on
26th?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Ocean Boulevard.
And
yeah.
it got too small, so we moved to Rio's. But anyway, this religious production called 99 was coming to Myrtle Beach that was about, and the significance of the 99 was that 99 children, juveniles, died a day from either abuse, drug abuse, or suicide.
Mm-hmm.
They needed a motorhome for security. I went to the meeting to see if I could help do anything, and they said, yeah, they needed a motorhome. Well, I had a friend in Charleston had one, and I called her, and she said, yeah, Carl, you can have it. So I told them, I said, I'll get you that. The thing was a blow-up balloon. The production was held inside a balloon, and they had the liability was such they had to stamp a time clock around it 24 hours a day once it was set up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2 weeks before I was needed to have this thing, the lady stopped returning my call, and a friend of mine said, Carl, she ain't gonna let you have that. She said the last trip she and her husband made together was in that, and she just not gonna do it. I said, well, okay. So I got up at Bible study right there at Rio's. I said, boys, I'm in trouble. I need this. I said, I need at least a 30-foot motorhome for 10 days. This is vacation season. I had 3 people volunteer 40-footers that day.
How about that?
Yeah. This one guy named Kelly said, Carl, mine's right down in Merle's Inlet. Said, you come right by it every week when you come in. It's just in that storage lot. You can just pick it up there. I said, well, that's great, Kelly. He said, what are you doing? I said, nothing. I said, I'm trying to put together a trip to go to Central America to try to buy something to import into the U.S. to make some money. He said, I tell you what I'll do. He said, if you'll let me go with you, he said, I'll pay for it. I said, sounds good to me.
Okay.
Right, buddy.
Yeah.
I said, the only thing is I have a partner in Brevard, North Carolina that's got to go too. He said, that's okay. He said, I'll pay for him too.
Wow, okay.
Anyway, we called my partner in Brevard, North Carolina, and he said, yeah, Carl, he said, that's great. He said, but we're not going to Central America. See, I had planned on going to either Costa Rica or
Panama.
Sorry, Panama or somewhere like that. And he said, but we're not going there. I said, well, where are we going? He said, Vietnam.
Okay.
He said,
Okay.
well, the tickets just went from like $300 apiece to $1,500 apiece.
Oh, sure. So now you got to call your Kelly friend.
And no, he's standing there with me.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I looked at Kelly. I said, Kelly, what about that? He thought for a second. He said, I tell you what I'll do. He said, if we find anything over there, you make me an equal partner with you and him in this company, and I'll still pay for it.
Okay.
So I said, Mike, how does that sound to you, Mike? He said, that's great. Anyway, we book and we go in September of 2010.
Okay.
Was my first trip. So far, I've been back 19 times.
You must have found something.
Well, the only time that we've been through Hong Kong was that first trip. And we were in the airport in Hong Kong, and I met a young boy named Patrick Farley. He was from Houston, his family was, but his dad lived in Ho Chi Minh City, which is old Saigon, in District 2, which didn't mean anything that night to me at that time. But Patrick's daddy, Mike, met us at the airport in Saigon, and all flights go into Saigon in the middle of the night through airport military security.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike was really nice, and he was appreciative of us being nice to his son, and he invited us to dinner at his house the next night.
Okay.
I said, that's great. Didn't know the man. I said, yeah, we'll go. I said, just give us directions, and we'll get a cab to take us there. He said, he looked at me right funny and smiled. He said, I'll send my driver. I said, great. The next night, his driver picks us up at the hotel and takes us into District 2. Mike Farley lived in a 6-story marble house, had 3 housekeepers, a gardener, 2 security men. And we found out later that he was one of the richest men in all of Southeast Asia.
Wow.
His head housekeeper was a little girl named Kim Buthaung. We toured the house. Patrick so happened was a computer whiz. I mean, he could carry on a conversation and do computer work on 2 keyboards at the same time.
Okay.
Mike and Kelly were watching him. Kim was touring the house with me. We're standing on the balcony of the 6th floor, and I look out in the backyard, and there in the right rear corner of the backyard is a 4-story marble house. I said, Kim, why in the world would Mike let somebody build a house that close to his like that? No, Mr. Carl. that Mr. Farley.
Oh, well, we're getting the accents too.
That's right, buddy.
That Mr. Farley guest house. I said, oh man, I don't know how
That's where you're sleeping tonight.
I said, I don't know how in the world anybody get by without a 4-story guest house.
Right, sure, I don't. Yeah, it's tough.
Anyway, we find out later that,
Of course, it is District 2. So
yeah, hey, that's insignificant to you,
yeah,
but
because I live in District 2 now, and it's insignificant
that's
to me.
where all of the wealthy foreigners live.
Oh, okay.
In
Right.
And you got to put at that in 2010, Ho Chi Minh City didn't have but a population of 12 million then. It's a pretty good size.
Would it be too bold for me to ask what you were working on there, or would you have to kill me?
No, we were shrimp. Mike had look.
Yeah, that was
Don't
easy.
laugh.
Can't you get those at Calabash, Little River?
You can't buy 25 tons of them
All
there.
right, okay.
Right.
All right, shrimp.
Mike had 2 restaurants in Brevard.
Mm-hmm.
A Vietnamese had rented one of his
Okay.
that had 7 of these, like sarcus.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
you.
He said, you buy Vietnamese shrimp, I put them in all our restaurants, and we get all Vietnamese that own these restaurants to buy from you.
Okay. Explains why you keep going back now.
That's right. Well, let me go to a story about little Kim. Kim Buthaung, his head housekeeper. The reason she was that was because she spoke pretty good English.
Right, sure.
We toured the house, and I always kept a Gideon Bible in my back pocket.
Right.
And I asked her, I said, Kim, do you know Jesus Christ? She looked around like I had stabbed her with a knife. She said, how you know I secret Christian?
Wow.
I said, I didn't, honey. I said, but I wouldn't be doing what I'm supposed to do if I hadn't asked you. And she gave me her cell phone number in Vietnam and her email address. The next day, we were out in different locations, businesses trying to find things to import, their hand-built furniture and things like that.
Right, sure, yeah.
And the next night, I'm sitting at a table on the street in Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City. There's 10,000 tourists in the street.
This is a good one here.
Drinking and doing all this. And I lock eyes. Mike and Kelly and I are sitting at this table, and I lock eyes with a guy a block away in the middle of 10,000 people. Lock eyes with him. He walked just as straight to me as he could walk and looked me in my face and said, "You know Jesus Christ of Nazareth?"
Wow.
I said, "As a matter of fact, I do. Do you?" And he said, "I street preacher in Vietnam." This guy's name was Pastor Ham. He is the greatest street preaching evangelist in the entire country of Vietnam.
How about that?
The evangelical church thinks so much of him that they let him use their address in Ho Chi Minh City to receive donations and pass his money on to him from there.
How about that?
Ham now has been doing this for 12 and a half years and has spent over 7 years in prison doing this. He's his back looks like Jesus's after he was
he's been
scourged.
flogged and beaten?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah,
And
man.
they have thrown him out of every prison that he's been in. I lost him for 18 months. Went in places I was not supposed to go to trying to find him. And because I supported him. I mean, I bought him clothes, gave him money, made sure he had whatever he needed to do whatever he wanted to do. But anyway, every time they put him in a prison, he converts every prisoner in there and every guard.
Oh, wow. And that's not good for the state, yeah.
I lost him for 18 months, and I'm standing in a travel agency and on the street, and I hear this guy behind me on the street said, "Hey, mister, you know Jesus Christ of Nazareth?" And I just busted out laughing. I said, "Hom, don't you go nowhere. I've been looking for you."
Oh, that's great.
And anyway, I said, "Where have you been? I've looked everywhere." They put me back in jail. I said, "When'd you get out?" He said, "Last night." He said, "They throw me out of this prison too and tell me no more street preaching. You must have license, must have church, and conform to Vietnamese law." I said, "What are you going to do?" He said, "The same thing I've been doing since I started."
Oh, I love it. Well, Carl, you got a million stories, and we've had you on for 2 broadcasts. Traveling Apostles for Christ. Can I get involved, or?
Yeah, I need.
I might have got myself in trouble.
Will
asking
you
that
give me
question.
one more minute to tell
Yeah,
you?
I'll give you a minute and a half.
My partner and I, Robert Long, who is on the board of directors of Traveling Apostles, and I sponsored the first evangelical pastor to go into Laos for 2 million Vietnamese refugees there. The only one in the entire country, and there are only 80 converted Christians out of those 2 million people in the entire country. We have taken on that ministry, and we really need financial help for that.
Well, you got a lot of room for growth. That's how I look at that.
we have 3 schools on the Mekong River in Cambodia.
Wow.
And there are 2 million refugees there that have less than 1% can read and write in any languages or have ever heard the name of Jesus Christ. Now we have 500 kids that not only know who Jesus Christ is, but that can read, write, and do math, and can quote scripture from the Bible from memory and sing hymns that you would recognize the melody to.
Okay.
We've got girls. 95% of the girls born into these families are sold into the sexual slave trade by the time they're 11 or 12.
Good night.
Now we've got them in tech. We teach them life skills, sewing and steel tying and brick mason and stuff like that American girls would never think of.
Yeah.
But
I
anyway,
wish my wife could do some brick masonry.
we got them in textile mills and in restaurants and in Phnom Penh and just
Wow.
Anyway, if you would go to my website, Traveling Apostles or Traveling Apostles for Christ, there's a donate button on every page. Go to the stories in the website and look, and we really need financial help. So if God lays it on your heart, please give.
Carl, great stories, and I'm glad we brought it back around to Jesus.
And you thought all my buddies were insane, didn't you?
The jury's still out on this.
Oh, I'm telling you. Well, he is a little nutty, but he's a good nutty. He's my nutty buddy.
You have to be. See, I go to places, and I've tried to go into the Central Highlands, and they wouldn't let me and I asked him, I said, I tried to get off of a bus and go in and stay a day or two up there and then come back and catch the bus again. He said, you can't do that. I said, why not? You know, come back.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carl. Appreciate it. We'll be back with more River Talk, but here's the question. Do you know Jesus Christ of Nazareth? Ponder on that one more after this.